Got some quarterback news and we got some player interviews. Let's jump into this. What is up, Finn fans? Yes, today's video, we're going to be talking about quarterback a lot. A good amount. Mostly the video. We're going to be talking about quarterbacks. Josh Rosen, Godchaux, and Ryan Fitzpatrick had interviews today, so I'm going to give you a little tidbits on that. Ryan Fitzpatrick said some interesting things, so we're going to talk about that. And like I said, you can probably tell from the title, we're going to be talking about Josh Rosen a little bit. But before we get into that, real quick, shout out to Matt Kelly. Pop it up. He got his merch the other day. Like I said, if you guys decide to order some merch, be sure to send me a picture when you get it. I like to shout you guys out. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for going out and grabbing some merch and telling people about this channel. We're almost at 13,000 subs. Sky's the limit. Yes, today we are going to be talking about, for one, Josh Rosen. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm not going to do my stupid shebang where I waste time in the beginning. Jump right into it. NFL Network has reported that a lot of teams in the offseason and especially kind of now are reaching out to the Dolphins and showing interest in trading for Josh Rosen. Now, that's a thing. You have Fitz, you have Tua, and you have Rosen, you have Ruddick. You're only going to probably really carry about 2 quarterbacks and have one of them, Ruddick, going to the practice squad. So then that leaves an odd man out. And a lot of people think, hey, it's Josh Rosen. So that is the news that broke from the NFL Network, is that a lot of teams are interested in Josh Rosen. A lot of teams are reaching out for Josh Rosen. But the Dolphins right now aren't interested in trading him. And as of right now, are not, in no hurry to move him. Now, I talked about this a ton, and this is going to kind of coincide with Comment of the Day, because in Comment of the Day, I get this question a lot, is what if Rosen kills it in, the offseason? Or what if, Fitz struggles? What are you doing with Rosen? A lot of people want to know what the Dolphins are doing with Rosen. And I've talked about this a bunch of times, and I'll just kind of really quickly reiterate it. I honestly think that Rosen will go into training camp. I think Rosen will go into training camp. I think he will compete with Fitz and Tua, and I honestly think that it will be a fair competition. Now, do I see him getting traded? Do I expect him to get traded? It's a 50-50 for me. If he gets traded, I'm not surprised in the least bit. I can honestly see Rosen getting traded potentially for like a 4th or a 5th, just because, no one really knows what they're going to get for a Rosen. No one really knows. But his contract, $2 million this year, 2.07 this year, and $2.8 million next year. The fact that his contract is so low is probably why I think it'd be in the 4th, 5th round pick, category. So do I want him to get traded? Because, me saying, hey, it's a possibility. I think it's a 50-50 chance he'll get traded. Do I want him to get traded? Nah, I'd like to see him compete. I'd like to see what he could do behind a better offensive line. But again, with any player on this team, and that is why I do not buy current players' jerseys anymore. The last current player jersey I bought was Wes Welker. Burn me bad. I won't ever do it again. I do not buy current players' jerseys for this simple reason. Can't really get attached to players, especially on the team. Love Xavier Howard. I think Xavier Howard could be one of the best corners in the league. He is one of the best corners in the league when he's on the field. If he gets traded, it'll suck because I want to see the tandem of Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, but that's the NFL. If you can get something for him, they're going to move him, especially if you can get a high draft pick, or if you're just worried about his health or that. I'm not saying I want to, not saying I could see it happening because they just gave him a contract extension. But I'm just trying to give you examples, because Josh Rosen, it's more likely than not. Again, I'm not saying it will happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but it's more likely than not he probably will get traded. You have them being already committed to Fitz. You have them drafting Tua with the 5th pick. Rosen's the odd man out. So if I were to bet, I would bet that more likely than not he will get traded. But as of right now, the Dolphins don't want to trade him. The Dolphins want to go into training camp with him. They want to bring him into and have him compete and see what he can do. So as of right now, the rumors are out there that people and teams are interested in him, but the Dolphins are like, not right now. We're good now. We'll see. And then maybe somebody says, hey, we'll give you a 3rd. And Dolphins are like, well then, See you later, Rosen. But like I said, that's the news right now. Then Godchaux and Ryan Fitzpatrick met with the media, talked with the media. And on the hype, this is what Godchaux said. None of that means nothing if we don't put the work in. And I couldn't agree more. We are super excited. They bring in some very good defensive players. The draft, they're super heavy on the offensive line. They get the quarterback that a ton of Dolphin fans wanted. So we're super excited. We're super pumped. We have our expectations. But we've been here before. As Dolphin fans, we've been here before. We've signed Ndamukong Suh. We've signed Mike Wallace. We've signed Brandon Albert. We've made these big acquisitions, these big moves. All of a sudden, the Dolphins feel great. Look at what we've done. Look at the players we've added. Look at who we have. We're going to do great. So, like he's saying, great. Be hyped. No one's telling you not to be hyped. I'm excited for the season. I want to see how this team competes and all that stuff. But it means nothing until they put it together, they get it together, and they start to work on it. They also asked him about the new defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer. He says Josh played a big role last year, filled in a lot of things with Graham, and he's used to him being the voice of the locker room. He's used to him being straight up with you and being the voice and being a rah-rah and a big part of that locker room, which is fantastic. It's very good that our defensive coordinator was already on the team, and it's not someone new where the team doesn't know what to do with him. Also, he knows what the defensive scheme that Flores wants to run. So it's good that he's already had that, communication, that relationship with the team. So it's not something too new, too fresh on that defense. So some guys that were started to become better towards the end of the year, like Vince Beagle, Baker, all these guys that started to come up and start playing better, Zeiler, they could still continue to improve because all of a sudden it's not a brand new defense. It's the same defense, maybe a different defensive coordinator, but the guy was still with the team. So it shows promise. It shows a lot of promise. Then they talked to Fitz. They also talked about Godchaux, about him being on his last year and his prove it year. It's essentially like your last year, your contract. It's like the prove it deal you play harder to get money. He says he doesn't look at that stuff. He just, plays and he wants to win. And he, when the contract stuff happens, it happens. Then they talk to Fitz. And if you guys haven't seen what Fitz looks like, I'll pop up a picture. But Fitz got some gnarly hair. Gnarly hair, gnarly beard. And he said between him and his neighbors, there's like 12 kids in the two houses. I think it's his neighbor / brother or brother-in-law. Ton of kids. But they asked him about Tua. And he says, like everyone else, it was expected that if there was a guy there that they liked in one of those selections, they're going to take their quarterback. So if they liked, Tua at 5, Herbert at 5, Love at 18, it doesn't matter if they liked their guy and they were there at the selection, everyone knew the Dolphins were going to take that quarterback. So it's not a surprise to him. Talks about Chan Gailey. And he says, Chan Gailey was the first person who truly believed in me. I always wanted to prove him right. He allows players to play to their strength. And when he talks about their offense, he says the offense isn't hard to learn, but it is hard to defend. Now, Vic, one of my mods, said that I should make a video essentially breaking down Chan Gailey's offense, what we could expect and what players will thrive in it. I'm going to do that. That'll probably be a video that's coming out next week. I'm going to break down Chan Gailey's offense, and I'm going to talk about who's going to really thrive in that offense and what we can expect from that offense. Because to have Fitz come out and say it's not that hard to learn, but it is very hard to defend, it's good. Now, there was an article that came out last night or the night before talking about why Chad O'Shea got fired and how his offense was too difficult and yada, yada. I didn't talk about it, nor am I really going to talk about it, because I talked about it way back when he first got fired. It was broke, about last year, or not last year, about a couple months ago when he first got fired, that was the reason. So you can go back and check out that video where I talk about it, but I essentially talk about it there. But the fact that he brings up the fact that it's not that hard to learn shows that is a reason why Chad O'Shea was fired. One of the reasons. And he makes a point to say Gailey's isn't hard to learn. It's just hard to defend, which I'm very excited to see what that's all about. He said he doesn't throw much in the offseason. He says, so, this whole quarantine thing and this whole, no OTAs, no mini training camp, none of that stuff. It's not out of the norm. I don't like to throw more than I have to in the offseason, which is a reason why they signed him to a 2-year deal and, they're not planning on re-signing him. At some point this season, his arm is probably going to become dead. I thought it was going to happen last season, but he proved me wrong, and he played really well towards the back end of the season. But at some point, his arm's going to be dead. Maybe we'll see Tua at that point. We'll see. He talks about the Zoom meetings. He says you got to rely on guys doing study away from the Zoom meetings. But he also says that it's actually beneficial to do these Zoom meetings because normally you have the huge auditorium of all, the players, all 90 whatever of the players, whereas these Zoom meetings are more concentrated, more focused on individual or, a smaller group. And you can really start to work on learning the playbook and learning things, learning schemes. So he says it's a lot better in that aspect. And then the last thing I want to talk about is something he says about being competitive. He says, I'm as competitive as they come. So I want to go out there and start. I know there's a lot of force that goes into it. I know that in order for our team to be successful, whoever is playing, for him to be successful, that quarterback team has to be successful. He's a very team-oriented guy. He already talks about that he is helping Tua, and he's already starting to mentor Tua in the Zoom meetings. So he says the mentoring and the teaching of Tua is already started with the Zoom meetings. But even here, he talks about that, he's competitive. He wants to go out there. He wants to start. He's not going to, bow down and give it to Tua and let Tua do his thing. And, they drafted him at 5. He has to start number 1. No, because he doesn't have to start number 1. A lot of people want Tua to start week 1. If he ain't ready, I ain't starting him week 1. I want the best quarterback out there. And that's what Fitz is saying here. He's competitive. He's going to go out there. He's going to compete. He's going to do his thing. He's going to bust his butt to be the starter of the Miami Dolphins. So, and he says the quarterback can only be as successful as the team around him. Yes, we won 5 games. A lot of people thought we weren't going to win any games. Some people said Dolphins are going 0-16. Then at some point, all right, they won 1 game. They'll probably win 1 more. They're not going to win any more than that. Then we win 5, and people were like, see, the Dolphins can't even do anything right. They won too many games. They're not going to get Tua. And then we still got Tua. But he said here, only successful is your team. You don't have a good offensive line. You don't have receivers that actually catch catchable balls. That's something that we all have to start to look at when we look at stats. Catchable balls. Because you start throwing balls over people's heads or putting them in the line of fire and throwing horrible passes, then you can't really put out that on the receivers. But, whoever's playing for him to be successful, that quarterback team has to be successful. This is so I don't know if he actually said it this way or whoever tweeted this out worded it horribly, but that sentence is just so hard to read. Whoever is playing, for him to be successful, that quarterback team has to be successful. So yes, the team has to be successful, and the team has to help out the quarterback. But that's what I got for you today. We got some tidbits from Godchaux. We got some tidbits from Ryan Fitzpatrick talking about Tua, talking about the competitiveness, talking about how he's doing. And we got a little bit of a tidbit that some teams are showing interest in Josh Rosen. You can only imagine what teams that could be. Maybe it's the Jaguars. I don't think it's the Patriots. And if it is the Patriots, I don't want the Dolphins to trade Josh Rosen to the Patriots. And I don't think the Dolphins will trade Josh Rosen to the Patriots. But you'll be surprised. There's probably some teams that, want a good, sturdy backup, or a team that has an open competition and potentially wants that. So, there's that out there. So, I got some videos planned for you guys. Like I said, today's Ricky Williams' birthday. I was going to put my Ricky Williams video out today, but that will go back to the day I initially want to put it out, which is Wednesday. I have a video planned for you guys Friday. So I got Saturday. I have a video planned for you guys Friday. Saturday would be the Ricky video. Then I'm going to do the Chan Gailey video. If more news breaks, if more press conferences happen, you will get it here. So like I usually say, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. That's where I tweet out my stuff before I could sit down, make these videos, edit it for you guys. So be sure to go over there, check it out. Check out my second channel. A lot of you guys started going over there, checking it out, commenting on my first video re-upload that I put. I'm going to do another one tonight. So be sure to go over there, check it out. Check out the Bit Boys. Got a ton of stuff planned over there. Other than that, give this video a thumbs up. Guys, we're getting closer and closer to training camp. We're getting closer and closer to potential preseason. Pretty soon it's going to be June. Right now it's the 21st. We got about a little over a week. And it's June. And we got July. Then boom, August is preseason. We got 2 months, fellas. 2 more months and football will be back. Hopefully it goes quick. And hopefully we get football. But other than that, like I usually say, check out DolphsTalk.com. Give this video a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but hit that subscribe button. Be sure to hit the bell so you know when I go live and my videos go up. But other than that, I will see you guys Friday with a video with a special guest talking fantasy football. And then you got my Ricky video on Saturday. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.